Well, there is growing concern in the transit system this morning when it comes to rider safety.
So this follows last week's subway shooting when terrified commuters ducked for cover after gunshots were fired aboard the A train in Brooklyn. Joining us right now is NYPD Chief of Transit Michael Kempner and NYPD Deputy Commissioner of Operations Kaz Daughtry. Nice to have you both here.
Good morning.
So, I mean, the governor of the state of New York makes this big announcement how they're going to make the subway safer, you know, especially in light that congestion pricing is coming to New York City, pushing people on the subway, and bam, a day later, people are shot on the subway. What is going on?
So let me say this. There's a lot of good going on in the subway system when it comes to public safety. And we've had some high-profile, very, very unfortunate incidents, and a couple of them tragic over the past few weeks that are just dominating the news cycle and weighing heavily on our riders' psyches. But let me say this. I mean, Mayor Adams, you know, the beginning of February, the first week of February, gave us an investment of over 1,000 additional cops into the subway system, you know, each day. Crime was down overall in February, over 15%. And as we sit here in March, right now, crime is down 18%. But look, I could tell you crime is down, but what does that mean to people?
Right, what does it mean?
Absolutely.
Because people feel, Commissioner, they get on the subway and what we consider normal and safe is abnormal. They're dealing with mentally ill people. I mean, our producer took the subway yesterday and watched a woman defecate on the subway.
Roseanne, let me be clear. Our subway systems are very safe, right? But this incident that happened this is not a reflection of every single day in our transit system. You don't hear about shootings that happen every single day. And we understand that about what the passengers, that this is a traumatic event that they went through. We understand that. We empathize with them. But this is not an everyday occurrence in our subway system. There's 4 million riders a day that take the train, that got to their destination safely. Do you know the day of that incident last Thursday was the first time since last September that they have over 4 million riders. I think it was like 4.1 million riders. And this one incident this should not memorialize every day that happens in our transit system.
And when we talk about the transit system, you talk about some of the problems down there. You've talked about recidivism. I mean, people who've been arrested and then who are released and then ends up causing some of these incidents again. Is it a narrative, or are you actually seeing the numbers behind that?
Oh, listen, I could talk for hours about this, but to be quick, yes, that is a big challenge of ours, recidivism and repeat offenders. Let me give you some interesting, eye-opening, and I think your viewers would say jarring statistic from 2023. In 2023, just in a subway system, your cops have made just over 13,000 arrests. And when looking at those 13,000 arrests, we identified 124 people that were arrested 5 or more times in the subway system just last year. Now, when we take those 124 people and we look at them combined in their lifetime, they've been arrested over 7,500 times.
Just 124 people who've been rearrested that many times.
7,500 times. So if anyone's asking what your cops are doing, what the NYPD is doing, we've arrested these people 7,500 times. The better question is, why are we forced to arrest them 7,500 times? Where are the consequences?
There was an op-ed in the New York Post recently where they said the heart of so many of these issues, including that shooting that we saw last week, fare beaters, people who hop the turnstiles, who maybe aren't treated in the way that some people say that they should have, maybe the way they did those sweeps back in the early 1990s compared to what happened then. What do you make of that? I mean, should these fare beaters be arrested, detained, check their warrants, and have something more happen?
I had the opportunity to work down in transit with Chief Kemper and the team, and watch the plainclothes officers conduct a fare evasion operation. It's not. First of all, it's not fair for the everyday New Yorker that sets aside a budget, goes, buys their Metro card, and pays for the fare. Where people could just walk, and you have people that just walk through the exit gate and hop over the turnstile. It's not fair.
And it's like a gateway crime is what they've described.
It's not fair. And then the operation that I'm talking about, they arrested 8 people. Out of those 8 people, they have a combined a number of arrests of over 115 arrests.
I mean, listen, what are we going to do? We're going to say the same thing every day? I mean, this is, right? This is what New Yorkers deal with.
Rosanna, look, we pride ourselves as a department to be transparent accessible, and accountable. There are other stakeholders in the business of public safety.
All right,
Like
name names.
Like prosecutors, judges, state lawmakers, assembly people, right? Here's my question. Where are they? Because they have a big role and a big say in the consequences and public safety, not only in the subway system, but in New York City. How are we arresting people over and over and over again? There needs to be stronger consequences, and with stronger consequences is going to come deterrence.
So it's frustrating for you. Got it.
It's frustrating, but we remain focused, and our cops are still out there. They're incredible people.
So let me just ask you, we know that in February of 2024, the transit police got complaints of 392.
Yep.
We don't know exactly what they were complaining about. Complaints on buses, 60. Arrests, though, 114. So complaints, 392, only 114.
Almost 450.
So let me say this. I don't know what data you're looking at. Here's what I can tell you. Year to date, January through today, there's over 4,000 arrests in the subway system alone, just this year in the first few months. That's a fact. And those arrests range from low-level misdemeanors to all the way up to murder. Your cops are making arrests and doing enforcement at historic or near historic levels, and we can go back decades and compare it. So if anyone's asking, again, your cops are out there, they're focused, and they're engaging acts of lawlessness every day.
Mentally ill, okay? Which
Some
you just don't know,
Some
right?
people have described the city subway as has become, in some ways, a psychiatric ward. There's too many incidents down there when you talk about the EDPs and different ways to handle them. Can they enforce some of those laws a little differently, where they can remove some of the people? Is that even possible?
It's not a crime to be mentally ill. What are we supposed to do if they're not committing a crime, Dan?
I thought that the mayor was going to give the police a little bit more freedom to take the mentally ill off the subways.
And we are. And the same thing, more often than not, they're back out the next day. And look, mentally ill, we got to find that balance. It's not illegal to be mentally ill, but let's be truthful also. The mentally ill have so much to do with perception and fear and crime. We find them to become victims of crime and perpetrating crime. So my statement to that would be there needs to be consequences also, whether they are sent to prison, and if they don't qualify for prison, some of these people should not be in civilized society. There needs to be another place to house these people.
I know. Well, where are you going to put them?
Well, listen, that's the police department. We do our job. We arrest people. We remove them from the system. And then these other stakeholders, it's their job to determine the consequences, not ours.
Is homeless services doing enough?
Listen, we work every day in the subway system with DHS, DOHMH, looking for people that are homeless, offering them services. The same thing with mentally ill people.
Right.
We take people out of the subway system every single day and offer them opportunities.
It's difficult. A friend of mine worked for a hospital. She said that, when some of these mentally ill people leave the hospital, they give them Metro cards.
Yeah. So.
I mean, can you stop that?
Again,
I was shocked to hear that.
That goes to everything I'm saying. Again, we're here. We're held accountable, which is great. We're not, trust me when I tell you, the NYPD is not giving these people Metro cards, and trust me when I tell you, we are not releasing these recidivist criminals from jail or these dangerous mentally ill people. That's a fact.
All right, NYPD Chief of Transit, Michael Kempner, and NYPD Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Kaz Daughtry. Thank you so much for coming on and explaining this to us this morning.
Thank you. Good luck.
Good morning. Thank
we
you.
appreciate your